Why did you leave your children? Let me say something that might make people feel uncomfortable. We live in a culture where when a father leaves his family, it's tragic. But if a mother leaves their family, it's unforgivable. Why? Today's guest made a decision that society struggles to talk about honestly. And instead of judging her story, we're going to listen. Chanda, it's so good to have you here today. We are going to talk about something really intense. People don't want to talk about it. Why did you leave your children? I mean, I'm just going to say it. The question, it's going to be in everyone's mind, and we want to hear from you.
Yeah,
So
let's
tell
jump right
us.
in.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll do the best that I can to
Yes.
articulate 5 years of, you know, judgments and
Mm.
yeah, all the daggers that have been thrown at me that have really affected me. And I guess, the biggest takeaway, I'll just jump right into what I'm hoping for. The biggest takeaway that people get is to really practice empathy, really learn how to do that. I One of the things I want you to do is add a little Brene Brown clip in the bottom of our video, favorite YouTube clip ever that talks about
Okay.
empathy versus sympathy.
Gotcha.
And it's only 3 minutes, and I think it is very impactful. And I think that really that is what the gap in the world today is it's an emotional one. And I believe that we are all designed to bridge that gap using our intuition. And these are inherently feminine energies. These are mother archetype energies of emotion and intuition. And I think that in order to bring those back into ourselves and into the world, we have to have developed the confidence to walk the path of switching, in my opinion, from a patriarchal to a matriarchal society.
Mm. Okay.
So in order to do that, we have to make some tough decisions.
Right.
That is really the path that I have walked, that I am paving, is one that honors the mother, rewriting the story to really honor the mother, and the mothers have to trailblaze that path. So to to sort of give a little bit of the history or the story,
Mhm.
for those that don't know, and I don't know how much of my story I told on our last video. It basically, I was married for, I don't even know how long, 10 years, maybe longer, to someone that's possibly on the spectrum, undiagnosed.
Okay.
And I think that had a lot to do with what led to our divorce and ultimately me walking away
Yeah.
from my kids. So right now I have a almost 13-year-old and an 8-year-old that are currently living with that ex-husband of mine. And for the last 3 years, I want to say. So we have an unconventional dynamic, that we're not really following our divorce decree. We're just trusting each other and trying to work things out, separately. It's best for the kids and ourselves. And so, the reason that this is just such a big deal still, such a big topic, is because as a mom, and I just had another baby, by the way, 3 months old.
Mhm.
So as another
Mhm.
new mom again, trying to reach out and meet other moms and form a community,
Okay.
this is something that still comes up. There's a lot of judgment. So as I try to reach out and connect with other people, other
Mhm.
moms, and of course, I talk about my other kids, and naturally they're like, "Oh, where do they go to school?" Or, "Do they live with you?" And then I have to get into it, right, a little bit to the
Right.
conversation, and that's
Right.
when you can either, if they're not vocalizing how they feel directly, you can feel it in the energy. Or how people slowly distance themselves because they immediately assume, oh, well, a mother that leaves her children, like,
Mhm.
going on here, she's not a safe person.
Mhm.
Um, and there's so much to unpack with that about what safety really is, and an emotional safety. And it's
Mhm.
actually them that are not a safe person because of the judgments that you're placing on somebody
Right.
without knowing any of the story, any of the context.
Right.
And yeah, and it's often the most, because I actually live in a small town now. It's full of like Southern Christian women that are very happy, bubbly on the surface, and don't want to talk about real things at all. And as soon as you mention anything that you're going through, really struggling with, they just
Yeah.
say, "I'll pray for you," and you never talk about it again.
Oh no. Gotcha.
And so there's just still a lot of that, and it's lacking realness, rawness, authenticity. People just want to brush real life stuff under the rug,
Right.
or stay in their little privileged bubble. And
Right.
so that's why this is something that's important to talk about. I'm not the only person that has gone through this. I have had multiple coaches, female coaches, that have had to make some hard decisions. Other intuitive life coaches, typically people in this line of work, that have had to walk some kind of similar path because they are in relationships essentially where they're not supported. There's something there regarding emotional neglect
Mm-hmm.
or just some sort of disconnect, and
Right.
they're over functioning and they're doing everything and they've run themselves into the ground and they've got to step away. So it's definitely something I think people need to talk about more. I mean, it is being talked about more. It's all over social media. I follow lots of accounts where people are talking about it a lot more. But if you're
Okay.
not looking for it, you're not going to find it.
Right. Right. Right.
So anyway, that's a lot of why we are here today, why we're talking about this. It directly impacts relationships. It directly impacts friendships,
Mm-hmm.
and it directly impacts, yeah, well, just all relationships. And so for somebody that wants authentic connection, that wants to feel emotionally safe with someone, you have to be able to be willing to understand them.
Right. Right.
And if you can't do that, you're not going to feel safe with that person. And
Mm-hmm.
so why would you stay connected to them?
Right. Right.
I think there's a lot of us that are looking for adult relationships, like healthy, bonded, trusting adult
Yeah.
relationships. And this is the key. This is the missing link to it. It is true empathy.
Right.
And so I
Right.
just really want people to learn to slow down and learn how to do the work of
Yeah.
self-reflecting, looking at your own self, getting help to do that as to why other
Mm-hmm.
people's decisions bother you so much, and why you
Right.
can
Right.
accept things that
Yeah.
other people are doing that might be different than what you've chosen.
Right. And it must be so difficult, especially you're trying to bond with other moms, very highly religious community that just don't talk about those things. And something so, that people don't want to even ask or care, or they just instantly judge. You just don't ever leave your kids, period. I'm never talking to this person again. And I will admit, when I first talked to you, I judged. I know. I started to think, as we've talked and become friends, I've started to think how, me who couldn't have children, I was just utmost like, what? And it took you a while to talk to me. And we don't see in the society, we don't have time for even that. We don't have time to just listen. And it's really heartbreaking, especially when you have something this um, pushed under the rug. And the thing is, with your spirit and how I've gotten to know you, is that no, we don't, the dad can leave, deadbeat dad, whatever, but the mom, there's a scarlet letter on your back for the rest of your life. And it's not fair. And there's the reason, and I don't know if you want to go into how it happened.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that today, but we can talk about wherever you want to go with next. Um, and the, for women, that we shouldn't have to destroy ourselves in, did you, I know you didn't leave out of just, oh, hey, I need to go fix my hair. It's like,
I don't want to be a mom anymore.
I want to be a mom. Eh, you know, There's much more to it. And specific to my channel, talking about Cassandra Syndrome and about that you did mention that your ex was most likely on the spectrum. And what you've told me, it just really sounds that way. What road would you like to go to next? Would you like to explain more of what happened? You don't have to, or just go into more of the dynamic with him, that when you felt you had stepped away, what happened next? Um, where
Well,
would you like to begin with that?
what I feel guided to give an overview of is, for me, I've been on this deep spiritual journey that started with the rupture of my pelvis during childbirth with my first.
Mm.
So, how
Mhm.
long were we together? 2 years? 2 years into the marriage, I gave birth to daughter number one,
Mhm.
and my pelvis ruptured completely. The ligament tore off the bone, and I was like a puppet on a string.
I've been trying to understand rupture when you say, can you explain that a little more? I know it's a little bit
Yeah. Oh,
intense, but I've been trying to
can we
understand
pause
it.
for just a minute and I'll go grab my
Oh,
pelvis
yes. Okay.
visuals.
Visuals. Yes. Oh, I love it. I need visuals. Okay.
Okay. So,
Wow.
to pick up where we left off. So
Yeah.
here's my little pelvis model. I should probably have a name for her. This
Oh,
thing right here is called the pubic symphysis. It's a thick cartilaginous joint that holds the bones together. Ligaments hold bones together.
yes.
So there's actually two primary and two secondary ligaments that help attach right here to hold your
Yeah.
bones. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happened to me um, during labor is I was on my back giving birth. Baby comes through here,
Yeah.
and these are your legs, where your legs are.
Eggs.
And
Uh-huh.
so I had two different people holding my feet. I was on my back. I had two different people holding my feet when I was pushing, and one of
Okay.
them pushed too harder on the left than they did on the right, and it shot my knee like way back past my ear, and it literally ripped. It sounded like a bone was breaking. It snapped in half. And so you'd have to take this screw out because the model has it together. But if you took the screw out, you could see how the pelvis would completely come apart. So
Right.
it's connected in the back. This is your sacrum and your ilium, and it connects here, and then in the front. That's what's holding your body together.
Yeah.
The back, here,
Okay.
it's connected here, and then it's connected in the front. So some people go on to have surgery and they put plates and screws.
Yeah.
People that have this injury, they'll fuse the bones together with screws. But
Okay.
there's issues with that. There's like long-term mobility issues with it, and it's not ideal. It's not supposed to be like a fixed joint. It's supposed to be a movable joint.
Yeah. Movable. Right.
So that's the visual
So,
of what happened. Is the left side just like fell off, like the ligament holding it together just came apart. So like I couldn't lift the left side of my body. I couldn't move. Didn't know.
and it was from that person just pushing too hard?
Yeah, because the relaxin that's in your joints that makes your
Uh-huh.
ligaments loose during pregnancy, relaxin is a hormone that makes your
Uh-huh.
ligaments loose during pregnancy so that the baby can grow,
Oh,
so that
okay.
you can carry,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
get
yeah.
larger and carry the baby. So
Right.
it makes you more loosey-goosey. It kind of
Yeah.
feels, imagine, I think both of us have talked about EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Tissue
kind of like,
issues.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just very, yeah, very, very stretchy. So
Relaxed.
it
Right.
makes it easy to have an injury
Right. Right.
um,
Oh, yeah.
when you're dealing with that. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
that sheer force, that jarring like difference is what caused it to completely snap.
Oh.
So,
Shh.
I mean, you can
So
just
when
say,
you're
we could end this video right now and say that's, long story short, that's what ultimately led to me walking away. It was part
right.
of me healing because I
Yeah.
was dealing with a massive
Physical.
physical injury. It wasn't just like narcissistic abuse or the burden
Yeah.
of carrying all of the emotional weight on my own while trying to take care of kids and heal and feeling so alone. There was this massive physical thing that I still live with, chronic pain and manage. And people don't really understand how, like, you can't really understand it. Like it's a feeling in your body, living with chronic pain, constantly dealing with something,
Yeah.
especially when
Oh
it's
yeah.
the thing that holds your body together. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
it's
and you know, when
something
I,
you can't even conceive of until it happens to you.
yeah, right, right. And when you mentioned EDS, Ehlers-Danlos, and having connective tissue problems, that's what you're saying is kind of what your body's doing in order to carry a baby. It's just really, it's those ligaments are stretched or made loosey goosey, so it was much more able to just, gosh,
Snap. Yeah, like
oh,
imagine pulling a rubber band as far as it can go, and then you just push it a
and then
little
it
bit beyond
just,
its point and it snaps.
yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you for. Oh. So you're right. We could just say, okay, end of the video. Yeah, she's physically couldn't walk, couldn't take care of her baby, had an autistic, possible autistic person. She had to go because there was just no return. We could do
So,
that. But I know that you don't want to focus on that physical. You want to focus on just
well,
women.
right. Well,
And
what the physical injury ended up leading me, it sent me down this whole like spiritual journey that I
oh,
was not expecting at all.
okay.
Because
Of
all I wanted to do was heal. All I wanted to do was heal my physical body,
course.
and it wasn't working. Like I did everything everybody told me to do. You know, I did all the physical stuff. I even looked into non-traditional medicine. Like I did all the allopathic medicine stuff, and then I looked into
Mhm,
acupuncture and chiropractic and craniosacral
mhm.
therapy and myofascial release work and all of these wonderful things that were very helpful for managing
Yeah.
the issue. But you know, at the end of the
Mm,
day, I'm like, this sucks. I want to get back to being able
yeah.
to completely function and not be
Yeah.
in like pain, radiating pain all the
Constant.
like
And
I
then you're
can't
taking care of a baby.
yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, not to mention the newborn I just had.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
Mm,
what was so bad about all of this to
yeah.
take it back to the injury that happened, what led me to finally walking away. How many years? Let's see. Hold on. How many years into 10? 10 years? It
Okay.
was 10 years. My daughter was 10. So it was 10
Your daughter was
years.
10 when you left.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I endured and tried to figure this out and everything and exhausted myself in every capacity for 10 years.
Hmm.
Also, in that time, I ended up having my son unexpectedly.
Hmm.
It does make it easier to have another baby after your pelvis is ruptured. People think,
Oh
oh,
my God.
that's you had another baby, but I'm like, actually, like he came out a lot faster because my pelvis can just open up.
And
Yeah,
you know, I was going to ask, so you're so on recovery, and I just because I know it's my question, it may be viewers' question. So
yeah. Hmm.
you're shattered pelvis, you have this newborn, you just get through that, and then she grows, and then you have, when did you have your son? Like how many years?
5.
5 years. So in
Hmm.
5 years. So yeah, you're getting by, you're walking, you're able to walk, you're able to do things, you're able to carry a baby, but you're in constant pain. And then
Hmm.
actually, because you're already the pain, wasn't it? I get that. And so you had another baby. And so now you have two babies, you're in chronic pain, you're what I'm getting at, emotionally neglect from the hubby. Um, then what happened? So
Well,
10
and
years of of this struggle.
yeah, why, you know, there's this whole journey that I'll elaborate in more detail on in my book when that gets published one day. But what I realized that kicked everything off, I'll take it back to the empathy thing. I mean, that's what it boils down to. It was the longest time before I learned about trauma and I started reading books about basically emotional trauma, how emotions are stored in our body and it creates trauma. And I love how Dr. Gabor Mate explains trauma, that it's not what happened to you, but it's what happened in your body as a result of what happened to you. And so when we experience something traumatic, it's like this fracture that happens in our body. Like it's another way to look at trauma is what your heart cannot process in real time. Like it's
Mm.
too much to process in real time. So there's like
Mhm.
fracture occurs. And It's like you're scattered into a million pieces. Because your world shatters. Like you don't there's an immediate gap that you're trying to bridge, and like I don't understand what just happened. Like I
Yeah.
had, you know, whatever beliefs about the world, beliefs about things that got me to this point in life, and then it all just shattered. What I mean by that is, so I thought I was in this happy marriage, and I had sort of reached this pinnacle of the cherry on top is what I how I refer to it, of having a
Okay.
daughter. I had a good career. I thought I had a great guy. We had this house together,
Yeah.
nice cars. It was just this like a standard American dream, white
Yeah.
picket life that
Right.
we were just placing the little cherry on top, and that's actually what literally started to crumble everything. And I
Was
started
that
to
after your
see
first? That was
that was
after your
the
first.
first, yeah, when I had my daughter.
So you're saying that before you had your daughter, everything was
Everything was
just,
fine. Yeah, I thought everything
yeah,
was fine.
yeah,
It was kind of like there was this shelf and the surface of life when everything was
yeah,
fine, and then
yeah.
I went beneath the surface. It's kind of like a
Mm.
pinball machine, and I
Like
went
the
beneath the
visual.
surface, like down here, and
Uh-huh.
was which is what happens when you really experience trauma. You kind of go 6 feet underground. So
And that was from
anyway,
the shattered pelvis mainly, and having a baby and going through that.
yeah. That was the
Of
first
course.
trauma that I had ever been through.
Okay, gotcha.
I was raised.
Mhm.
Basically, I was the golden child for anybody that knows anything about psychology. But I had no idea that I
Mm.
had any trauma, like childhood trauma. I
Okay.
thought everything was fine.
Yeah,
So I never really been through trauma. And
gotcha.
then when that happened, something happened energetically within me that caused me to just start to see all of these, like the underworkings of the world, and like the pain that a lot of people were carrying that they weren't aware of. And
Hmm.
so anyway, all of this stuff started happening to me, and the
Hmm.
point though that I missed and I want to get back to is,
Yeah.
so this trauma happened to me, and I assumed that I would be able to turn to my husband that I just had this baby with, and he would be there.
Right. Right.
And he would sort of carry the load, right?
Right.
Better
Right.
for worse, till death do us part, in sickness and in health. Like I
Hmm.
assumed that, okay, I'm now, like, here we were, I'm down here now. Like, like I need your help. I need your help.
Yeah. Pick me
Like,
up. Right.
yeah, like let's figure this out together. Like I need you to come
Right.
down here. That's
Right.
why I referenced that Brene Brown video. This will make more sense when you
Okay.
look at it.
Right.
I need you to
Yeah.
come down here and help
Yeah.
me figure this out so that we can come back up together. Like let's
Uh-huh.
help pick me up, to get back up to here.
Yeah.
And he froze. He
Yeah.
froze, and he couldn't move, and he couldn't do anything.
Mm.
I had a home birth, and he couldn't even call 911. I asked him. I I was like, well, I can't move. How can you help me? And we had a newborn too. And so he had just assumed that, I was going to do everything. Like he wasn't really planning on doing much as a dad. And so he was in massive shock. The more that I learned about trauma over the years, I came to find out that that trauma sent him back to last trauma,
Um,
his childhood trauma, where he last felt helpless and frozen.
okay.
So my trauma activated his childhood wound, where
Okay.
the last time that he had felt that similar feeling
Okay.
of like freak out, helplessness, this is too much. This is too much for
Yeah.
me to carry.
Right.
So he froze. And, that was the beginning of the end. That was the beginning of a life of then, like nothing ever changed with him.
Hmm.
From that
Hmm.
point forward, he was frozen. He was
Mm.
physically there, emotionally gone, like an ice cube, totally. And this is what the freeze response is. So that's what I was dealing with. So I had to go into like a fight response to
Right.
try to compensate for him freezing.
Of course. Yeah.
So yeah, basically, the most traumatic thing for me I'll never forget is we were in. So I had a home birth. I ended up going to the hospital, took X-rays to figure out what happened to me. Came back
Mm-hmm.
home. I came back home with a catheter. We had a two-story home, and our bedroom was on the second story. I had to have a hospital bed.
Hmm.
I had a wheelchair, had a hospital bed, had a catheter in for like at least a week. It was just this really intense,
Yeah.
dark time for the first week of having. I was separated from my newborn.
Mm.
That impacted breastfeeding. First baby, so it was just so much. And
Mm.
I think I told you this before. What makes it all worse is this visual is like the walls in our bedroom were red. They were
Red.
permanently red, and it's just like amps the intensity of the whole thing. Um,
Right. Right.
so there I am, newly postpartum with my first child, and just feeling helpless.
Right.
Not really, like I'm in shock, and I don't, I'm
Yeah.
not aware enough to like know what to even ask for. You know, this
Right.
is
Right.
this is when I wanted to lean on my husband and say,
Right.
can can you help out? Like, what can you do? And I'll never forget this moment when he came upstairs. So I was upstairs on my own. It was in the middle of
Hmm.
the day, in the first couple of weeks. I think it was week two. He comes upstairs and he's like, "So I just want to let you know I got to go back to work next week. So you better figure this out. You need to figure out how to walk again so that you can either go back to work or stay home and take care of her." And then he scurries downstairs. I can't chase after him. I can't do anything. He just comes up, plops that on me. And it was this feeling of like, he just abandoned me and my child, basically, in the lion's den. You know? Like, he just said, like, it was like that was all he could muster up. Before that, we were just in survival of dealing with a newborn. Thank God we had the help of his mother for like 5 days or something. It was a lifesaver. But yeah, he couldn't change my catheter. She had to do that. Like he was, which he couldn't do that if he wasn't frozen because he hates everything to do with medical or anything nasty or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, I felt completely abandoned,
Mhm.
completely left. And so I'm like, well, I guess I have to do all of this. I have to figure out how to walk again. I have to um, do everything on my own. Like I was trying to talk to him about short-term or long-term disability at work for himself, and I'm like, can you? I
Yeah.
don't even know who to call. Can you call my boss? And help me figure out what my options are because the federal government doesn't offer any short or long-term disability. So I didn't know what my options were. That yeah, it's crazy, but they don't. And he worked for a private firm, so I'm like, can you get something? Like I need you. I need you more
Right. Right.
than what you had planned on taking off. Like I can't walk. Like,
Yeah.
and that's when I started realizing like I can't. This isn't a partnership. Like I can't talk. You're not talking to
Right.
me. You're frozen.
Right. 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 Right.
And I spent the next 10 years trying to get through to him, trying to chip away at that ice cube until
Oh
I
my
realized
gosh.
that's what I was doing, right? I'm like, oh my God, this is never going anywhere.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I just stayed 6 feet underground, like yelling and screaming, trying to be seen and heard, trying to get empathy because it made me realize it wasn't just him. Everybody, like me personally, I would not be able to go visit somebody that just had a brand new mom that just had their first baby and like drop
Mhm.
off a casserole if I saw what was going on without
Right.
asking, what can I do?
Right.
How can I help? Can I do laundry? Can I do dishes? Do you need me to go to the store? Do you need me to buy anything? What can I physically
Yeah.
do to
Yeah.
help you guys out? Nobody really asked that question. And I felt like people came and brought casseroles and Peterbrook chocolate and asked to hold the baby. And then also some of them were downstairs holding the baby, and socializing while I was upstairs just crying.
Mm.
Like, do I matter? Do I matter? And it felt like I was just used as a vessel to make these other people happy, and nobody cared about me. And life was just moving on, you
Hmm.
know? And before then, like, I was raised Christian. I was raised in a private Christian school and went to the same church my whole life. And so
Yeah.
I went through this, major um, round of questioning God and like, what did I do? Why did I deserve this?
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? Like knowing the whole time though that it like wasn't me. I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, this is not me, you know? This is not a me problem. Like, what I am witnessing, what I am dealing with. And
Yeah.
then the same thing from my family too. My family's always had issues, health issues. My mother has
Okay.
always had to deal with my father and my sister. And
Okay.
there was, as usual, there was something going on with them at the time that was a typical thing. And my mom couldn't be there for me. And in
So I
reality, my
was
mom
gonna.
was very the truth, and that was kind of what my mom, she was hiding behind that too, because the truth is that she was actually bitter because I didn't want her at my home birth.
Oh.
So I came from a
Hmm.
enmeshed family system, and my mom never really saw the difference between the two of us. Like, I never really individuated healthily from her. I was sort
Okay.
of living
Okay.
out the life that she wished she could have had through me. That's
Yeah.
something she'll never be able to admit to, that that's what our dynamic was. I was just sort of, yeah, living this life, I think, that she wanted to live but didn't get to. And that's a lot, a lot of part of my story is
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
realized my whole world had to shatter,
Yeah.
literally, for me to
Literally shattered.
see. Yes, for me, nothing short of that would have gotten me to start to see and unravel
Uh,
all of the toxicity of my
wow.
family system and then subsequently the world,
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
people are so relationally
Hmm.
traumatized and
Hmm.
operating under so much programming of ancestral and societal conditioning of what we should be doing, or
Hmm.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
the way we have operated. Nobody's questioned anything, and we're just sort of continuing on the hamster wheel, and it's about forward movement and progression, and people
Hmm.
aren't slowing down because the systems in the world don't really let us, and no
Right.
one, the 40-hour work week doesn't hold space for people processing any kind of grief.
No. No.
So it just showed me all of that. It showed me,
Right.
it allowed me to slow down because I couldn't move.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it really allowed me to slow down and sit with all of my emotions that, oh, by the way, I had never felt for 27
Hmm.
years because I was conditioned to not feel.
Wow.
To
Yeah.
just, like, something bad happens, turn your frown upside down, tomorrow's a new day, move forward.
Wow.
And that works. That works great until it doesn't anymore. Until something happens and you are forced to sit with your emotions. And that is what happened to me. And so that's still really where I am in my life today, is I'm noticing that gap where I finally learned how important it is to feel and to stay connected to your process and your internal truth and your emotions.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
rest of the world is largely still not there yet. They're still not doing that.
Right.
And
Right.
there's not enough trailblazers that are paving a new way to restructure the world so that we can do that. So I am definitely a trailblazer. That is because the universe like forced me to be. They were like, well, we're
Yeah.
going to prevent you, physically prevent you from moving forward in life until you address this. This is addressed. And so I really ended up turning into a wounded healer. It's a term people can look up.
Yeah.
Chiron wounded healer thing, where it's like I'm forever wounded, but my wound is the gift to the world. And long story short, this ended up being a blessing in disguise and allows me to help people connect back in
Hmm.
with their emotional body and their intuitive body, and ultimately live more in alignment with their soul,
Yeah.
with, what's true to them.
Hmm.
And this is where I believe we're all going to be headed, but it's going to be a long journey. It's going to be a long process, and
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
going to be easy. And so, but So yeah, I just threw that in as a little sidebar. It's something I'm going to live out for the rest of my life, where I'm holding two realities in both hands, that I have this physical thing I'm still managing, and
Right.
along with that came this beautiful gift of me really finding myself.
I just want to say it's like every question that came up in me, you answered it. It's brilliant, everything you said. I just love you for that. You touched on, one thing that really came to me was it takes bad things to really know who your friends are, know what you were sitting there alone, nobody to help you. The dysfunction in your family, the dysfunction in his family, and also the fact that you're married, you're with somebody, they think that he's going to be there. And I know a lot of, especially on this channel, a lot of listeners, Cassandras, who just right away nod their head like, yeah, he's not going to be there for you. But if you're not single, you're going to get less help because they will think that maybe your husband's there. But I don't want to, it's just one little piece of what you were saying, because you had this whole beautiful uh, awakening is really what you're saying, is that going through that and you've turned it into something that you want to be a trailblazer. You want to say, the world's asleep. So much of the world's asleep, and we're not given the time. Just what you said. We work a 40-hour day. We have to work constantly. Now both parents have to work.
Mhm.
It doesn't give us time to sit still. And it can take an injury or take something just drastic to make you stop and say,
Mhm.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
And you found yourself alone in one of the most devastating times where you
Mhm.
can't walk, you can't take care of your child, you don't have a husband, everybody thinks you do, and they're just taking in casseroles and let me hold the baby.
Mhm.
What the
Yeah,
flip?
sorry about your luck, man.
Yeah,
That
hey,
looks awful. It's fun. It'll be even funnier when you go back and watch that Brene Brown 3-minute video on
I
empathy and
think,
sympathy.
I
Because
think
yeah,
I've seen it.
it's the people that offer sympathy, they just stay up there at the top
Yeah,
and just kind of look down at you, and they're like, "You want a sandwich?" Like, oh,
yes,
it's really bad.
seen
Like,
that
oh, I'm
one.
so sorry about
Yes,
your luck. Here, let me throw you a bone.
it's my favorite one too. I'm so glad as we were talking. That's my favorite one too, the cartoon version.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they're just saying, hey, and then the worst thing to say is, well, at least you
yeah,
had did
yeah.
it, did it.
Yeah. Yeah, when the
I
people that
have
do come down, it's like there's the people that stay on the surface, and then the people that do come down,
come
you
down. They're
get a
just
lot of the, you know, whatever, the
at
one-upping,
least,
or the
or
at least it wasn't this bad, and people don't
uh-huh.
really know how to have empathy. But what I've learned though from my experience is um, you can't offer empathy if you personally haven't gone to the depth in your
Yeah,
own life, in your own personal experience, and
it's
worked through
true.
the layers of trauma that would cause you to get that deep, that would cause you to go there.
Yeah,
It's like an elevator, and it's like you don't have the key card or the access card to get that far down to
no, I
be able
know.
to empathize with somebody. So I also don't want to shame too much people that can't,
I
like
know.
they
I know.
can't. Like it's not
They just
your
can't.
your fault if you can't, but you do
Right.
have the responsibility to like own if you can't.
If you can.
Rather than sort of continue to stay and like manipulate somebody,
Yeah.
or stay and use them for what they do have to give you, but never helping them.
Hmm.
Um, without yeah so that's kind of I guess what it felt like, is I felt like I was being used, like nobody had the tools to come down and help me get out, when all the
Hmm.
only help that I needed was empathy. People would still come and go wanting things from me. And so, like they just couldn't see it. They couldn't see the difference in how I was still where I was, and they weren't really offering me anything, but they're wanting things from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was a long journey of that.
Hmm.
And while I was just doing all the things to try to heal and I wasn't getting anywhere, and because my husband at the time was sort of frozen, it just started to get kind of an unhealthy dynamic where I felt like I was his mother, sort of commanding things from him, like telling him to do everything, because that's kind of what you have to do when somebody's frozen. They're so overwhelmed, you have to give them a list
Yeah.
for them to just do. And then they start to feel like they're just your puppet or something, or puppy dog, just doing what you want them to do. It's not, I mean, relationships not supposed to feel that way. It's not supposed to be that way, but what do you
Hmm.
do? this person won't work on themselves. I
Yeah.
begged and begged and begged for years, please go to therapy. Like, I'm the one that ended up diving into all of
Right.
the everything to do with physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health because I
Yeah.
was trying to personally get out of pain myself and I was trying to improve
Of
my
course.
relationship because the pain that I was in made me see that my partner, how much pain my partner was in
Right.
from his big T childhood wounds. And so
Mhm.
my heart just broke and broke and broke for him. And I'm
Mm.
like, please go to therapy. Like, this is what I think is wrong with you. This is what I think is happening with you. I want you to get better so I can get better and we can get better, you know. Right
Yeah.
now that I felt so empowered in a sense because I had all this knowledge that I never had before about
Yeah.
healing and I just needed somebody to do it with me, right?
Hmm.
That's all I was like, oh, okay, I just need somebody to do this with me, do life with me.
Right.
And he couldn't. And he wouldn't.
Right.
And
Right.
all
Right.
of this leads to like it bled over into how it affected the children. And so there was a lot happening in my mind. So I'm getting to the point of just further describing like what led me to finally walk away. This whole injury just caused me to start deconstructing a lot of things, right? And it led me back to my childhood and allowed me to see things from a higher perspective that I wouldn't have been able to see if this hadn't have happened.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of a quick way to put it, but ultimately I really did see the gap after what happened to me.
Hmm.
I couldn't, it's like I couldn't put the toothpaste back in the tube and I couldn't go back to try to, I could no longer connect with these people the way that I
Okay.
used to connect with like my family or old
Gotcha.
friends. It was like I had new codes or new information or something that allowed me to not be able to operate in these spaces anymore because
Hmm.
it was too much on my system.
Hmm. I get it.
So I just felt like everywhere I went or tried to go, it was constant people not understanding me or not being able to meet my needs. And
Right.
that just, it really takes a toll on somebody.
Hmm.
And I'll never forget the moment where I did not have many conversations with my mother-in-law. And I had like
Hmm.
one or two deep conversations, and I'll never forget her asking me, like, I was trying to talk to her about my husband at the time and like trying to do everything to save my marriage. And it's like, I realized that he was just like her. She looked at me and she was like, what are you asking of him that he's not giving to you? Have you given him a list? Have you given him a list? Have you written it down? And I'm like, you can't really write emotional presence down, emotional availability down. I'm like, you guys are wanting me to make a bulleted list of like mow the lawn, take out the trash, go to therapy. I'm like, okay, that's something I can put on a list. He hasn't done it. But the work to make yourself available
Right.
to you to have emotional capacity for somebody else and empathy
Yeah.
is work that is not a bulleted list. It's not a science. And so
Right.
it requires like that right brain that a lot of these like engineer types, which my ex-husband was an engineer, don't
Hmm.
have. And so
Hmm. Hmm.
anyway, going this ties into the Cassandra thing because it's like some people may just never get this until you just go through it. You may never understand how the continual like numbing of everybody around you really wears you down over time and impacts your
Yeah.
nervous system. And it's all of that contributed to me finally walking away because I saw in regards to the children that the world is headed in a new direction. And kids, more and more kids that are coming in are emotionally sensitive, more and more emotionally sensitive. They need emotional availability. And
Hmm.
so I quickly saw how all of the pieces tied together, and that I needed to leave so I could heal my nervous system, grow my ability for emotional capacity, for empathy, and do the best I could to try to physically heal for my kids so that I could return or get them back and be there when for yeah, as long as I could, and when
Right.
it was finally their turn to kind of fall apart or to question things. Like I knew their dad didn't have the capability, and that was just gonna all be on me. But most people don't go through something like
Right.
this until their 30s or 40s or something like that. But it
You
isn't,
mean the kids?
well, humans
You
in
mean
general don't really go through any kind of a awakening or aha moment or
right, right, right.
something in life that causes them to examine, to just
Yeah,
shatters their world or
right,
reflect back, and because they're not getting something they want, in this
right,
life.
right, right.
But anyway, everybody's different. But
Yeah,
either
I
way,
get
I
what you're saying.
knew I was like, I stayed as long as I could. My son was 5 and my daughter was 10
Mhm.
when I finally decided to leave. I stayed as long as I could for their development, for their early development, and to be the
Yeah,
best presence,
right.
and anchor and that I
Hmm.
could. And then so many reasons. I fought it for a long time trying to prepare myself to be able to walk away. But it comes down to, the injury allowed me to see things from a bigger picture perspective,
Okay.
where I was able to see how important emotional health is. And I knew I had some healing to do within myself, and especially after feeling abandoned for so long and by so many people,
Okay.
that I felt guided, internally, like with my intuition, my spirit guides, my connection to God, that I had to do this. There was no way of getting around it. I tried every possible way to
Okay.
feel good about, like, I can do this, I can stay, I can take it all on. There's so much, so many little slash big things, like, that I was told, like, I'm here to break a cycle. One of the biggest cycles is mothers doing it all on their own without support, without help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, or that if you do want help, like, you can get help, but then it comes with all of these, like, conditions from people
Right.
that
Right.
you don't connect with anymore. Like, I had all these issues with my family that they didn't care about. They couldn't hear. They were not able
Exactly.
to see or hear me or understand how I wanted to parent my kids.
Right.
And they weren't really interested in working with me either, with my schedule and what I needed. So I'm like, well, okay. If I'm going to hire a babysitter, I can do that from anywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, my it was a long process. My ex-husband and I split up,
Hmm.
um, in 2020.
Hmm.
We were one family unit under one roof, split up then. He went to Japan and he lived there for 3 years. I took the kids on my own, went back to Florida where we're from for 3 years. So
Mm.
they left, they didn't have a dad
For 3 years.
for that time.
Okay.
He came back to visit. This was all during COVID too. He came
Uh,
back to visit a year after he left. So they were without him for a whole year because he couldn't come back
hmm.
because of COVID.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then after that, he came back like every 6 months.
Okay.
So for 3 years, I tried. So this was the first thing I tried to do. I was like, okay, I can do it. I'm going to do it all on my own. Like, even with
Yeah.
physical disability, I went and got platelet rich plasma injections done, PRP, to try to, stimulate my cells to grow more tissue again, to strengthen that
Okay.
area.
Yeah.
So all these things I did I was like, I can do this, right? I'm Superwoman. And through that process is how I realized, like, oh my gosh, no, what my system is crying out for is a break. What my system is crying out for is for somebody to finally give me a break, and nobody could. Nobody would. So I'm like, well, nobody's going to take care of me but me.
Yeah.
So I had to advocate for myself. And another thing that's really important to point out is that my ex husband is not physically abusive. Like, the first thing I think people think about when I say I left my kids is, um, like, it is just, it's crazy. It's very telling, actually, the, um, how
Hmm.
people think so poorly of men. They're like, they're like, you left them
Oh,
with their dad? Like, children can't, like, sit
oh,
with that a minute. Like, children can't be left alone with their dad, really. You know? Wow, it's sad but true, for a lot of
mhm.
people. Um, but anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, I did marry a good man. Like like without the trauma, we're all great without our trauma
Right, right, right.
activated. Um, so I believe most of the kids in the world today are being raised by two parents, two loving parents that, well, I don't know about most, but let's just say most of the people in our immediate sphere and in the neighborhood that they live in have two loving parents that are absolutely emotionally neglecting their children, even with two parents,
Yeah.
even with two parents. And like maybe they're doing all these fun things and they're in all the soccer and the gymnastics and the
Uh-huh.
jujitsu, what
Uh-huh.
coding and all these things, and but there's no presence. There's
Right,
no emotional health being developed outside of
right,
school and in the home.
right,
It's just this promoting of the hamster wheel of go, 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 and doing all the
right.
things and increasing your intellectual quotient, not your emotional quotient. And so people want to judge so much, but it's like, you know, there's no difference in the households like of what's going on. My kids are probably more emotionally intelligent, even with
Well,
just one parent. And so I could break down so many myths, debunk
yeah,
so many things, but
yeah,
people,
yeah.
if they're not ready to hear it, they're not going to hear it. But
Right, right.
I went through all of this, questioning every little thing, and I was like, yeah,
Wow.
this is what I have to do. So I would never have left my kids with someone unsafe.
Right,
Their dad was completely capable.
right.
Um, I knew that. I mean, he knew that. I when we started to separate before we went to Japan and Florida, we were in North Carolina and we started to
Hmm.
co-parent then, so I could kind of test the waters and see how he took to it. You
Okay.
know, he wasn't quite ready, and my son was younger, and I'm like, mm-mm, nope.
Mm.
Like, I'll do this. I'll take this. I'll do this a little longer. I can do it.
Right, right.
And so that was good. That I had them when they were younger. But as they got
Yeah.
older, I felt better
To
handing
be
him
able
over to
to,
dad, right? And as you and
right.
I had talked before, it was like I gave him an opportunity to be a dad.
Yeah,
And that was a very healing experience for him. He needed that with his
yeah,
childhood trauma. I think it's something that has really helped him work through things, whether
yeah.
he's aware
I,
of it or not. Like it's healed a part of him, I think, that he maybe didn't even know
right.
that he needed.
And he may not be aware of it. And one thing that really struck me when you did tell me that side of it, where he was finally able to step up, because there's this aspect of, especially, and you know, because of my channel, I do talk about neurodiverse relationships, and I talk about, and this whole time we were talking, I'm thinking, well, when you said he can't help it, or he can't be that emotional anchor, or that because of the autism, or maybe because of other things, we've touched on alexithymia, and we've touched on all these things that could be a part of it. The thing with, as a Cassandra and our partners' husbands, they see us as mom a lot of the time. Just, and with respect, again, this is just our lived experience. And so if you're like a mom, they're in the house, he's the kid. And then once you leave, he is the adult. And I have heard in many, because there's so many different thoughts on this, they can be really, really good dads, but more of a friendship kind of dad. I've always heard a lot more of just, kid like mentality, yet
Just older kid,
very
older sibling,
capable. Huh?
Like an older sibling.
An older sibling. That's perfect. I'm glad you said it that way. Yeah. Yeah. Like an older sibling. They're just, and they're in charge, and then they know they have to be in charge, and it becomes part of their schedule. I just want to add that in because there's going to be so many, Cassandra's possibly listening about this part too. And we have to remember these are human beings, and he did have a trauma, a big T trauma that you're saying that made him freeze even more because there's all different types. We've definitely heard a lot of times they just freeze anyway because of the capacity to be able to move outside of themselves to help someone else. But there's also different things they go through. And so they may be able to do it robotically in a way that we say, just like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, so I'm doing it. But when she told you to give him a list, that's not what life's about. When the mom told you. So
Yeah,
it
a
seemed
huge
like the
light
dynamic.
moment went off for me then, and I was just like, "Oh God, I gotta get out of this." They
Yeah.
don't get it. They don't get it at all.
Yeah. The dynamic
Right.
there, like you really can't have a traumatic event in these relationships a lot of the times if there's going to be that denial of it, like make a list and there's no nuances and we just do it this way and that's how it's done and everything else gets shoved away. And that's where the Cassandra sets in, that's where the trauma sets in for us. And obviously what, yeah, like you said, it was a big light bulb. That's when you knew. And
Mm-hmm.
so now you're at the point, okay, you you made sure it was safe. You knew your husband well enough. You knew that he
Yeah.
would finally take charge because you weren't there.
We
I think
talked.
that
We
was
talked.
that's what really clued when you told me that part of it um, before. It just really struck me like, yeah, that makes sense. And for you to heal and just everything you said.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and so much
now,
preparation went
mhm, of
into.
course.
So when I had them for 3 years, and all this time I was trying to wait till he got back stateside before we finalized the divorce so that we could have a more accurate financial picture. That's definitely
Mhm.
something I struggled a lot with. Is a lot of my girlfriends encouraged me. They're like, "Oh yeah, he's making more money in Japan. Like, get a divorce now because you'll get more money. In the
Yeah.
settlement, like." And I was just I should have probably, but
So,
my heart's too big, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna be fair, and this is a temporary thing, and I'm gonna wait till he gets back, and we'll try
yeah,
to come up with something more fair and realistic then. And at
right.
this time, I wasn't really planning for sure on leaving. I was still thinking of all my options, and I'm like, okay, I'll stay
Hmm.
and we'll
Hmm.
co-parent. And then I don't know how to describe it, but I was going through a lot and weighing a
Yeah.
lot of things, and I just got really clear guidance that it was time. It was my time. It was time for me, and that it was perfectly fine. And to go give myself some time.
Hmm.
And because like if you don't, it's literally like you're just continuing to pile stuff on in if it that you never work through. And
Right.
that's why no one ever wants to, when they get older, people are like, oh, I'm too old to change. Because they don't want to open Pandora's box once you get to a certain
Right.
point. There's too much stuff. It's
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
destabilizing.
Yeah.
And
It is.
I recognize that. And I'm like, oh, I gotta
Do
go
it
now.
now.
I gotta start
Yeah.
now. And because that's the other thing. So many women, they think that they're doing their kids a favor by staying in miserable marriages, or maybe they separate and they are still primary as parent. And I mean, I would have done that if I could have, like physically, if the physical thing wasn't so bad on top of
Right.
everything
Right.
else I was dealing with, like. But
Right.
my spirit guides were telling me there's a reason for this. There's a reason we like prevented you from. You're trying to fight it. Like we're trying to give you a way out so that you can even deepen into your healing
Mm.
and do this emotional healing that's necessary that you need a
Mhm.
timeout for, but you're fighting it, you're fighting it, you're fighting it
Right.
because of the kids, right? And it's like the kids
Right.
are hurting
Right. Right.
inside, and you are showing them how important it is to take care of yourself. So one of the big traumas I realized that I had from childhood after this whole injury showed me a bunch of things, I was like, oh, it all made sense. I'm like, because on the surface, it seemed like I didn't have any trauma because my parents stayed together. My parents stayed together. Everything just seemed fine. My what I forgot because I had conditioned my body to stop feeling.
Yeah.
So once that came back online, I remembered that my mom, like all of the years, it just started to come up. I was like, oh my God, my mom was miserable. She
Oh,
was miserable.
oh no.
And she tried to keep a happy face. She tried to keep all the spinning plates up in the air. She tried to keep the smooth running train. Was Superwoman. She did a great job. Underneath was a frickin' wreck. Train wreck. Like
Wow.
that's where it all was buried
Oh,
underneath the surface. My family didn't believe in therapy. You're weak if you can't solve your problems on your own. So
yeah. Yeah.
that's why, like, yeah, I was raised to ignore all of it, completely ignore all of it. And most people are.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is a major problem in the world today. Like,
Yeah.
so, so that injury and then subsequent awakening showed me
Hmm.
how much we disconnected from our emotional body early on, most of us,
Yeah. Yeah.
early on, and we conditioned ourselves not to feel our way
Right.
through life
Right. Right.
as a survival mechanism. And
Yeah.
so many of us don't realize we're still stuck there.
Yeah.
And it's like a ticking time bomb. It has an expiration date.
Mhm. It
And
does.
mine was sooner than most people's. But what was
Which is
I
kind of it's a blessing that you can start to heal now and not be in your 60s or 70s and when you really can't or really can't make a huge change or I mean it's when I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm just applauding you for taking that very, very extreme step. And you did it, you had when you mention your spirit guides, I think of faith. And it's not, oh, everything will be fine. I'm just going to go. It's more, you made sure everything was going to be fine. But then to make that final step, to have faith in yourself
Mhm.
and that you're going to, and you mentioned your guides are faith, whatever that may be, saying, or I'm going to ask you this. Did you feel like, okay, I'm going to stop pushing this, pushing my maybe those outward thoughts of what society says is good, or maybe, and just say, no, I'm planning this right to heal myself. And my faith is guiding me to do that. Is that, am
for,
I hearing that correctly?
for sure. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. I just had such conviction
Yeah.
that this is what it takes to heal. This is what you have to do because
Nobody was
all of
helping you
this all of
too.
this spills over into how we parent. And
Mhm.
I was able to then see so many memories came flooding back into my body, like how suppressed and shut down I was in childhood, and how many times I was told, do as I say, not as I do, and
Mhm.
so many questions that I asked that I was just told I was brushed off,
Yeah.
just my parents didn't have time for me. They were very busy just trying to make money to survive, to give
Yeah.
us this surface level life that looked great. We don't want you in a public
Right.
school. You got to be in a private Christian school because that's better. We don't want you to get roped into the bad crowd, you know, like all of these kinds of things. It was so important, like how it looked.
I
And
went to a Christian school and they were very naughty.
yeah, yeah, uh-huh. Yeah, okay, mom and dad. Like, okay. So anyway, I it it made me see that it like when you talk about relationship trauma, relational trauma, I mean, it starts in childhood. So how we're talking to our children and like how if we're not able to hold space for them so that they learn how to stay connected to themselves and feel their own emotions when something's happening, if we just spank them, yell at them and make them feel like their emotional experience is something to be ashamed of and that
Hmm.
they have to abandon that part of themselves in order to continue to move through life. Here we are. We are literally creating monsters. We are literally creating
Yeah.
people that are going to grow up with attachment wounds because they didn't have healthy attachments to their primary caregivers, and they aren't
Right.
taught that the world can be a safe place. They are taught that the world is an awful place to be afraid of, and that you have to harden up to get through it. And then
Mm-hmm.
your heart is closed, but then you expect
Right.
to be in a healthy, intimate relationship when you get older.
Yeah.
So it's so clear once you see it, you can't unsee it. But the process
Yeah.
to be able to actually see this, if you didn't have like a boom blow up like I did, because I
Right.
joke because I'm like, oh, I guess it was kind of easy. Like the experience was hell, but then it was like I didn't really have to peel back layers, you know?
Yeah. It was in your
By my
face.
own fruition, like it just all blew up.
I
So I
know.
didn't have to, and then I had to scramble
Yeah.
to basically find a new framework. I had to find a new blueprint.
Right.
But it made it
Right.
easier because, yeah, it's
Because you
like I
had to.
started from scratch, and I was able to see all of these
Yeah.
things that weren't supposed to be, and
Yeah.
what led to my fall. My fall
Yeah.
from grace, like everything that I I built that I thought was normal, or
Yeah.
it was just going through the motions and doing what I was told, and it was so inauthentic and
It
disconnected
wasn't real.
until it
Right.
finally resulted in a physical disconnection to show
Right.
me how disconnected from my own body I really was. And so, anyway,
My
yes, and all of,
goodness.
I also wanted to point out something I forgot to say before. Leaving my kids, I didn't just like vanish. Right, this we
Right.
had long conversations, lots of them. We even tried to like put it into the divorce decree somehow, but they wouldn't let us. It's a long story, but a lot of effort was put in on both of our parts, to do this. And then I joke I left him with like a 6 or 10 page Word document with everything he needed to know, about all of the kids, like their friends, even their friends and their friends' phone numbers and stuff. I was so worried. I'm like, okay, the old Chanda's coming back online. I'm going to make him a spreadsheet. I made him a spreadsheet with all of the logins of usernames and
Wow.
passwords and websites of all of the kids' school things and whatever was online, and where to go for this. I was like, if they get sick, this is who you get homemade elderberry syrup from in the neighborhood.
No.
Like I just broke it down into categories.
Yeah.
He called me one day and had a question, and I was like, refer to page 6, line 17. So, because I mean,
You did the list.
yeah, I'm like, well, maybe this is a way to speak to him. But
Gosh.
but yeah, I
Wow.
went above and beyond. And then when I did leave the first year, I came back like 6 times.
Okay.
I was there, like I still took over and managed things, for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
It's been 3
Yeah.
years now, and the first year I went back 6 times. I stayed in the home,
Uh-huh.
in the marital home. He let me do that, and I'd take the kids to their dentist appointments, or take them to get haircuts, or buy them a new backpack for school, and
Hmm.
still do like all of these things. There was
Yeah.
no real abandonment. That
Right.
I was not abandoning them,
Yeah.
um, and so that matters. All that stuff matters, and they come here to see me. My
It
son stayed
does.
with me for half of the summer last year. Um,
And see the difference in listening to you and hearing your story.
Yeah. Yeah, and they
Just
they have been able to form a bond with their dad. Now I'm certainly not happy with some things that are going on, and he is
okay.
definitely emotionally neglecting them. And now my daughter is getting to experience what, like, it's falling on her since I left. She's getting the brunt of it. And that's what a lot of moms struggle with too, is they're like, yeah, how could you leave if you know this person's a narcissist or a whatever, and struggles and isn't able to emotionally support them? How could you leave them?
Hmm.
And I do want to spend a minute to unpack that a little bit more.
Hmm.
There's deeper, like, this requires a deeper connection to your faith, in my opinion, and a higher mental understanding construct of what I believe the direction we're headed in the world. Um, when I think back to, like, well, what led me to my fall and why was it so hard? My parents like did everything for me. I feel like I felt like they never really let us fall because it was a reflection on them, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even like science projects or something, like if they didn't have time, they didn't really have time to sit down with me and teach me things, like they would do it for me or, do a lot of it for me or
Yeah.
just, yeah, like not really spend the time because I didn't have the time. And so I
Right.
never felt unloved or ever felt
Yeah.
out.
They just,
It is the way it is when you don't have a lot of money and you're working really hard
mhm,
to just
mhm.
survive. I mean, I felt like they did amazing in that regard.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that I was emotionally neglected my whole life.
Right.
But the
Right.
reality is that I was, and I wasn't given tools to be emotionally present with myself and to help, like, how do I pick myself up, you know, from falling or failing or being really
Yeah.
hurt, you know,
Right. Right. Right.
emotionally. If you don't let kids feel the negative emotions and you just try to turn the frown upside down quickly,
Right.
they're going to struggle when they get
Yep.
older and they're not going to have any emotional tolerance, emotional distress tolerance when they get older. They're
Right.
going to
Right.
be struggling with this arrested development. Um, so it's really,
Uh,
really important. Like moms think that they're doing the best thing by sacrificing all of themselves
yeah.
um, for their kids, but you're
Hmm.
really not.
Yeah.
You're really not. You're teaching them to abandon themselves when they get older for the sake for those that they love. That being in a relationship requires self abandonment, and loving people requires self sacrifice or martyrdom. That's really what you're teaching. Like if you can find it, I'm not saying you can't do both, but if you have to be radically honest with yourself about where you are and how you're doing.
Yeah.
And because kids read energy, they read emotion. Their prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed till age 25. Like their primary language is emotion
Yeah.
the whole time they're under
Wow.
your roof. That's what they're reading off of you. That's what they're picking up from. So is what's going on under the surface.
Hmm.
They feel that. And so if you're
Hmm.
sending one message under the surface that you're
Hmm.
you're you're so stressed out, and you're
Right.
really struggling, but on the surface you're polished and perfect and you're showing them that nothing's wrong and oh,
Right.
I'm protecting my kids because I'm not letting them see how I really feel. Oh, honey, they feel how you feel already. They feel that. Like, we're not
And
taught that, but they
and then they
absolutely do. They're feeling your stress. So they feel the incongruency between how mom or dad is really feeling and what mom
huh?
and dad are showing.
Right. Right.
They don't know that they feel that. It shows up later in life.
Like
So,
what you were saying, you didn't know that you thought everything was hunky dory because on the surface it was. You read their energy when you were young that your mom was miserable and you didn't pick up on it until you had to go through something. So what I'm getting just boom, you're going to stay miserable with your kids and not leave. That gives them more damage in the long run anyway. So
mhm,
you actually leaving to say, look, I am going to be happy for my children.
yeah.
It meant you leaving. And they would actually have a better outcome.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, cuz and
Oh,
I want to keep reminding people like I didn't leave them in the streets. I didn't leave them
no,
in a domestic violence situation. That is not
no, you wouldn't have.
no. Um
But what you're saying, I mean, that's not, I mean, that's rare, hopefully. That's rare that a mom would do that. But you can see how important it is for you to be happy for your kids, not stay for your kids, to be happy for your kids. And I know that we've heard it
we're
before.
showing
Oh, mom,
we're
you should
showing
have.
them directly
Yeah,
or directly and indirectly we're teaching them.
right.
They learn more by what we're indirectly teaching
Yeah.
them by our living
Now,
our everyday life and how we're feeling, moving through that life. And
mhm,
if we aren't really able to be present with them because we are so burdened by this
right.
stuff that we haven't worked through. Like I didn't have this goes into deeper spiritual stuff, but like because
Yeah.
my pelvis is still like wide open, this is kind of what my spirit guides show me. It's
Mm.
like it's the wounded healer thing. I
Okay.
am always I'm gonna be stuck here, like in my emotional stuff. Like it's like I didn't have the luxury to close the lid, like to close the
Okay.
box, if that makes any sense. If
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had physically healed,
Uh-huh.
like something's bad happens to you, you fall down and you get back up and then you're good,
Right. Right. Right.
and
Right.
like you
Right.
don't dwell in it, you don't like
Yeah.
but if you can't heal and you're
Uh-huh.
living in chronic pain and it is a
Uh-huh.
constant reminder, you
Yeah.
know, a lot of people think that you are in a victim mindset,
Uh-huh.
victimhood. Um, it's yeah, this could be a whole other conversation, but it's
Yeah. Because I could relate to that because I
yeah,
have the chronic pain myself and how why do you stay? And yeah, it's a whole nother video. To kind of I don't want to wrap it up if you have anything more to say, but to wrap it up, I just want to give the point out that to point out, you know, we hear all the time, okay, leave if you're miserable. And or the kids may say to the mom, why didn't you leave? We wanted you to, or we saw the older kids, let's say that. But to also just for Cassandra's out there, a lot of times we don't feel we can leave because of our spouse, because of our partner, because the society doesn't see the autism or the emotional neglect and all of that. What you're bringing to the table that I'm seeing for Cassandra's is, for one, you knew who your husband was, that he was a good person. Like I know, even for mine, the emotional isn't there, but they're not going to be harmful to the kids. And so, even though society doesn't know, it is so important for the mom to be happy and to trust that things will be okay and that you're going to be strong enough for them. I have known women that have left and their kids still have to see the dad. They still have to go. They maybe don't want to go and they still have to go. It's just devastating. But the mom is still there, happier and full of light to give to them when they come home back to their mom.
exactly.
And that it's okay for you to leave. It's okay for you to leave a toxic relationship when you have kids. It's okay. And I think that's such an important point that you're saying, because a lot of us just say, well, we just can't leave because of him. I don't want my kids with him.
Yeah.
But really, you're still there and you're not there. You've got two miserable parents instead of just one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you stay.
Yeah. And the other thing that was just coming up again that I don't know if I clarified completely before is I know in general I spoke that it's good it's important to teach what I was trying to say before is it's important to teach our kids that like how they can't rise you can't rise if you don't fall. So if we never
Right.
let our kids feel
Right.
uncomfortable and
Right.
feel like actually go through something.
Yeah.
So many moms stay to try to prevent their kids from feeling from having to go through anything or from like they don't even realize
Hmm.
a lot of them are preventing them from the father. Like they're
Yeah.
preventing them from feeling it's like they're a barrier. And
Oh,
that's really sad.
yeah.
That's you're training them to be that role. Your kids that like that's what's needed as moms, like there is a barrier.
Right. Right.
So some people may think it's harsh or something to sort of remove the mom and now everything falls on the kids. But it's more nuanced than that, and because like adults treat like he treated me worse than he would treat the kids, you know.
Right.
But
I
also
hear that all the
I say
time.
that, but also it is interesting how as time has passed, his patience has worn thin, and he is really harsh on my daughter. But she is
Mhm.
so strong. She is so amazing. She's so strong. She doesn't hear anything from me. For the longest time, I didn't say anything about her dad. I've let her figure it out, and boy, did she.
Mm.
And so it's good, in my opinion, because we're still in a patriarchal society that is so messed up and so driven by shoulds and like this checklist of like you've got to do these things, you know, in this order, and you got to go to college, you got to get this kind of degree or whatever, and you know,
Yeah.
it's just void of soul and emotion and the
Yeah.
right brain. And so
Right.
like she is seeing that. She is seeing that firsthand what it is like to maybe when she gets older be underneath somebody else's thumb. You know, somebody else that's got control issues, somebody else that's got an issue with power dynamics,
Hmm.
authority. Like she is under the hand of someone that like where she feels powerless. So she's getting to feel what that feels like now because she's
Mm.
probably going to have to deal with that when she gets older. And so I do think that can be a good thing. That can be healthy. Like there's no abuse going on. It's just
Yeah.
it's neglect. And some people say emotional neglect is a
That's
form of abuse,
abuse,
but
but
there's no like physical abuse going on. It is
yeah.
just
Yeah.
he is kind of acting like a child a lot of times and he
Yeah.
will yell. Um,
Oh
but
gosh.
she is so she's
She gets
aware.
it.
She does. So I mean it's just kind of turned into like a comedy really because she'll send us Instagram clips all the time. So she has a full access phone. She watches Instagram and TikTok, all sorts of things, and she
Mhm.
knows maybe I
Wow.
don't know about more than me, but more than him about
Yeah.
how she's supposed to be treated, how you're supposed to parent. There's so
Yeah.
much stuff out there now on TikTok, Instagram, like
Wow. Yeah.
saying all she sends us reels, you know, and especially him. We're on like a
Okay.
three-way
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation where
Yeah.
she's telling us, you know,
Yeah.
this is the way you're supposed to parent me, or this, you know, and it's just
Oh,
kind of a joke. I mean, you have to laugh at it. So,
I know. Yeah.
um, but no, really, like it I wouldn't have done it if I didn't feel guided. That there were bigger reasons that this had to happen, and in the end, it is
Hmm.
good
Hmm.
for them to experience. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's real?
yeah.
What's real? It's important. It really is. Well, thank you so much. What a tremendous, I mean,
It's a
ah,
lot. It's a lot. And I mean, I'm always willing to talk about it with anybody or help anybody through it or answer any
yeah,
questions if anybody has any follow-up questions.
you had so much experience. And,
Yeah, I do a lot.
yeah, I want to mention that we will do a second video on something more recent, what's going on now. I can't wait for that. And if you want to hear more from Chanda, yeah, you can ask any questions you want. Also, of course, give a subscribe and hit that bell for the next video that she and I do. This was really, really incredible because it's just completely, because I remember before I judged right when you first told me. I'm listening to the whole story now. I'm applauding you and what you've done for
Thank
your
you.
family. So, all right.
Thank you,
Well, take
Diana.
care. All right. Chanda, it's so good to have you here. Okay, hold on. Chanda, it's so good to. I was laughing.
I love us. I do. I love
I, well, me too.
us.
Okay. All right. We're ready. Okay. Chanda, it's good to have you here today. Which to be so serious.
We're gonna have to do outtakes like at the very end.
Yeah, I'll do it outtake. You leave your children. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
Lord.
Oh, right. This would be hard to recover from. All right.
I know. I know. Ah.
I can't. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Chanda, it's so good to have you here today. We are going to talk about something really intense. Why did you leave your children?